So what I find super fascinating with all of this social media stuff, now that I've done it for a long time, is how much it's a reflection of who we actually are as human beings. One of the things that people almost always say is, the algorithm penalizes you, it does all these things. And that's true. There's that's going on, but what it's trying to pick up on is human nature and look at what humans actually do. So the things that we respond to and then we pick up on will be amplified to a more or less degree of how much we actually care about that, right? So if you were to go on to any of these platforms, if you're exceptionally pretty, depending on whatever opposite sex you are, it will pick up with the opposite sex. If you're exceptionally very, very pretty, boy or girl or whatever, right? Like that's definitely happens. But then there's also like if you are um funny and silly, or if your kids and your kids say the darndest things, kind of take on things. If there's these sort of moments that are somewhat jarring in the sense that you cannot understand. Yeah, it's sort of there's a moment of disbelief for a moment of like, oh, I didn't expect that. Right. That sort of not expecting something. That's what humor essentially is you're just not expecting it to actually happen. And yet it actually happens in a certain way. Um, which makes us kind of laugh because it's, sending a signal to your brain that something's not right. Um, but, you know, all of these things are really, really interesting to me because if you are just trying to live your normal life, being a normal person, whatever that is, right? I don't even know what a normal person is these days, but if you're just trying to live your life and be a normal person, it doesn't stand out. And so what we often have to do is do more aggressive tactics just to get people to pay attention to the darn thing because who we actually are as human beings. I mean, sometimes I have to do that with, titles and things like that. Otherwise, people just don't listen. They don't even click. They don't go through and pay attention. And I know that there's maybe ways that I can spice this up, but it's somewhat of an intentional choice now. And the beginning, and even now, it's expensive to do those things, right? Like to really take it seriously. Each one of these talks, I would have to probably spend, roughly probably about $5,000 to $10,000 if I was to do it properly and to hire somebody like that. That would be probably what the going rate is. I'm not lying. It's probably about $5,000 to $10,000, somewhere around in that range. Um, and every single talk, I'd have to do that. So you can imagine that that would get extraordinarily expensive. So on one side, yes, it's a cost savings thing, but I also think by doing this, there's very few people that are just trying to live a normal life. I think I'm the only one, right? Like I'm trying to be dad life, but also a professor, but also trying to build a platform on the side that helps us out, that sort of, you know, revolutionizes the way that my work, professor work, actually changes and does things. Right. So of course, a lot of the conversations are about PhD life and research and stuff that I talk about. But I want to be kind of just a normal human being. And, there's goofy things that I like, or there's moments where just are, yeah, I just don't want to do that, right? Like I don't, and I think like once you get into that, what you realize is that yes, being your normal self is not going to, um, it's not really going to resonate with a lot of people because it's just not that thing, right? It's not going to explode because it sort of resonates and captures attention. You're not extraordinarily beautiful or anything like that. But living my normal life helps me do this. every single day. So I can actually manage to do it, right? Like, and there's two big broad strategies that I think are interesting. And my good friend and somebody that I admire now vastly, Suresh Pira, pointed this out. He's a very distinguished professor at NYU, and he pointed out with Jim March, passed away, but very distinguished, probably one of the most well-known theorists today in modern history. And they pointed out that we behave differently if we are focused on survival versus performance. And if we're focused on performance, in my view, this is a little bit of a different take, a slight take. If we focus on performance and it's only about performance, you're not going to survive. You're not going to win on a daily basis because it's hard. You're not going to perform at that level all of the time. So instead, what we tend to do, or what I like to focus on, is how can we lower the bar so that we can be ourselves, and it's not that crazy of an ask to just live your life as you're doing things, being yourself at any given moment. And you can do a lot more than you'd ever imagine. Right? I've put out 6,000 videos at this moment just on YouTube. And yes, it's a little bit time consuming. Yes, it's a pain in the ass, but can you imagine the actual cost it would be for me to do it legitimately? I mean, we're talking probably about probably $10 million of doing it legitimately to invest and put all the work. And I can't afford that. So instead, I'm just going to do things that are my life and who I am and kind of live in the moment. Right? And maybe, just maybe over the course of many, many years, something might resonate with somebody, or people just like it just because it's just being me and doing dad things and, work things and just being a normal functioning human being as we go about life. Um, I think that's beautiful. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.